Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. We are live, or at least I think we are. I don't know if I've got a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk mainly about the situation in Sweden and Trump's supposed mistake. I have a lot of things I want to test out here as well, and I want to. I wanted to do something else, but I pretty much forgot what it was. But I'm sure it'll come back to me here in a moment. Yeah, I'm trying out a few new things, so things are a little disjointed here. But mainly, I'm just amazed at how stupid, your basic feminist, libtard, social justice warriors are, because I'm watching the news lately and it's retarded. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable how for example, like the night after Trump, said, last night in Sweden, like last night they had a whole bunch of fucking riots. So it's like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? It's like the press is focusing on these minor little mistakes and completely missing the big picture. Now, I'm not even sure. Wait a minute. Let me check if my sound's coming out here. This is going to be a little confusing here for. Yeah, we're good. Right? That's me.
Missing the big picture.
Yeah, sure. About 10 seconds behind me. Okay. So I'm trying to set this stream up a little differently. And as a result, we're a little disjointed here. Like, I don't think I was able to send out any sort of a advance warning or anything like that, so like people could clear off YouTube or something. It's like, holy shit, the Howard Dare stream is starting. Let's clear out. No, but, I wasn't able. I'm still figuring it out. And a lot of this, I'm going to have to figure it out when I'm actually done. You know what I mean? So there's, a few things that I want to try out here. Broadcast alerts. Yeah. I've been trying a whole bunch of different things. That's why I haven't been putting up too many videos lately. I've been putting up a lot of news clips, a lot of political clips, because I think they're important and I want to talk about them, because the liberals, they're not catching on. The mainstream media is not catching on. They're not adjusting to reality. Now, I want to try to play some clips here, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, right? And the reason why I had to come live with this is I need to see if certain things work. That's all there is to it. So this is kind of like I'm sorry, it's a bit of a test podcast. But I don't think anybody was notified. So I don't think we have anything to worry about here. So there's my image up here. So let's try changing the images. Okay, nothing is cooked. Nothing is. All right. This is an old thumbnail from one of my videos. I'm just using it as a test image. There it is. Now I need to come back over here and test if it's working here. Hey, this is locked. Yeah, it's working here. It's very possible that this podcast is set to private. Just testing, just getting some settings adjusted here, people. Yeah, live dashboard. Live now. Zero watching. Why is there zero watching? Because it's private. That's why. Can I change it to public? All right, I've changed it to public. I wonder what will happen now. Yeah, so there's been nobody here. Nobody's been notified about this podcast, right? So, I could I could change it back, but I'm also talking to the people in the future here that will be listening to this podcast at a later date. But that's not entirely true, because if it were true, you know what? I wouldn't be doing the podcast at all, because I've gone back and listened to some of my podcasts, and they need to improve. And that's what this is about. It's an attempt to do that, and I've pretty much done all I can do in the background. Well, that's not true, but I've done plenty in the background. So now I need to test it out live. So this podcast started out private, switched the settings to public, and I'm curious if it's going to notify anybody. Yeah, I've got 2 people. Okay, yeah, 1 other person has showed up. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, little bit of a mismatch in what happened here and how this podcast got started. So we're just running some tests here, and we thought we were going public. Hello, MGTOW. Hey, man. Thanks, Rodney. I appreciate it. Looking good, man. Yeah, so I was just testing out some of the YouTube equipment here, and I started out this podcast, and it was set to private, so nobody found out about it. And I just recently set it to, public, so it's an unusual situation as to whether or not it's, going to send out any notifications to any of my subscribers, or YouTube's going to bother to notify anything like that, seeing as how the podcast was already running, when I set it to public. But I'm doing this to set up some videos and some media, see if I can broadcast it while talking about it and controlling it and, pausing it and stuff like that. So that's what's going on here. Yeah, and this is just one of my old thumbnails here that we've got up here. Okay, so let me get back to it. Now, let me take that off the screen. Yeah, we're talking about how feminists and libtards are just always completely fucking wrong because they're on the news and shit. And they're talking about how things are great in Sweden and shit like that. And, they just had another set of riots there last night. So let's try and play that clip. I've got this video, just from YouTube, from another YouTube channel. And I'm really curious if it's going to play and how the sound levels are with my voice, like whether or not I can talk while it's playing and shit like that. So let's have a look at that clip. Here it is. Starting it. Play.
هجموا على الشرطة هجموا على الشرطة هجموا على الشرطة ضربوهم في صوت التيف إيجار.
This is footage from the riots in Sweden last night.
هربوا.
Täällä haisee semmoinen hirveä palannut semmoinen niinkö, semmoinen palaneen käry, että ei siinä niinkö,
Yeah, they were lighting up cars and everything.
Joo, nyt täällä ei tää ikkunat ihan.
What happened? What happened to my fucking video? Huh. Okay, so, this is one of the things I'm going to have to work out here. Yeah. Let me see if I can restart that and get back to where it was. Sorry. Okay, restarting.
Effort to
Yeah.
for that.
Here we go.
90
Sorry, jumping around. Okay.
On niinkö. Porukka lähtee tulee tänne päin. Ai joo.
Joo, nyt näkyy taas.
Ei, ja itse poliisi. Nej, jag vill vara inte er, jag bara är också.
Aavolta teetään kysellä, onko se poliisi?
Mulla on pakko lähteä pois, että nyt rupeaa olemaan semmoiset paikat, että
Okei.
täytyy vähän käydä kaveille tuolla.
Joo, niin se on paras.
Well, hi everyone. As you can see from the material I just showed you, there's something going on in Rinkeby, Stockholm, and Rinkeby, of course, is a very special neighborhood. It's a neighborhood with almost 90% of the inhabitants there being of foreign origin, mostly Muslim. Like, if you go there, what you will see is Muslim men and veiled women. And this isn't, of course, the first time something like this has happened. There have been a lot of these smaller riots all the time in these places like Rinkeby or Malmö. And
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. You know, I just wanted to make sure that this stuff was actually working. And, yeah, you know, this isn't the best footage that I could find. It's just some of the footage that I came across. But it's just this example of how, in the real world, you know, you've got these serious crimes taking place over there in Sweden. And yet the media, the mainstream media here in America, you know, all over the world, is mocking Trump for, you know, his statement that, you know, we've got, you know, that it's really bad over there in Sweden. So it's this disconnect with reality. It's this willingness, you know, to just screw things up. Yeah, Sweden is largely run by women. Now, I'm going to test out a couple of other things, and I'm going to shut this podcast down early, guys. I'm sorry, because it didn't notify any of my people properly, right? So I'm bummed. These are just some pictures, you know, that I use in my videos to like brainwash people into subscribing. It's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? It's the message, right? So I'm really curious if I'm going to be able to play, you know, video sources and then talk over them or pause them and effectively, you know, get that to work. So this is really just a test for that. And it was a test to see how it's notifying people. I'm curious, how did you guys get notified? Staying free. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, I'm really curious how you guys got notified that this podcast was going out. Like if anybody, you know, received anything like that. Because, yeah, it was messing with me. And, you know, and I'm just trying to use separate encoding software so that I control the podcast, right? You know, you just love to say shit like that. I love to say stuff like that. Yeah, I lurk too. You know what I mean? I just check out things like that too. But yeah, usually I just use the Go Live Now option for on YouTube, which just brings me directly to Google Hangouts, which is pretty simple. And I can put a delay on that. And it seems to, like, as soon as I say that I'm going to do it, it seems to send out a notification, you know, to my subscribers that it's going to happen. So that by the time it starts, or even, you know, when it starts, a lot of people have been notified. But in this case, I tried to start it differently so that I could use my own encoder and put up pictures and play videos and stuff like that, which seems to be working, right? Also curious about audio levels, things like that. So if I could, you know, have it working with this level of broadcast control, but then with the ability to notify the subscribers, that's what I'm working for. I'm also looking at bringing in multiple sources audio, things like that, mixing in additional audio sources. So I have to check out, some of you guys and your podcasts to, see what you're doing and stuff like that. Audio is good. Thank you, Alexander. Yeah, these are test podcasts largely. At some point, though, they will be good. Let's see. I'm just putting, these various pictures up there. So if you're sitting there with full screen on, this is going to be like a little painful for you. But it has to be done. It has to be done. I'm sorry. Now, the next question, from a technical point of view, is will I be able to play a YouTube video, just in another window, and have the sound and my microphone be able to, mix appropriately? Because if I can do that, that means I could bring guests on, right? We could watch a video, we could pause the video, we could comment on what's going on in the video, which is, basically talk shit about it, and then we could, start the video up again. And, I think that would be a respectable technical achievement. I had no idea that sound was so complicated, Let me see what else we've got here. Nothing. Sorry. Here's an image slideshow of thumbnails of mine. And I'm going to warn you, okay, the first one is like a close-up of Mark Zuckerberg's face. Okay, so you might want to just look away as this what's going to happen next. Okay, so you've been warned. Oh, there you go. It's starting someplace else. All right. Yeah, when it starts out with just Zuckerberg's face, it's just like offensive. You know what I mean? I mean, it's bad, right? You can just look at a man's face when it looks like that, and you can just know there's something wrong with him. It's like, oh, he worships the women too much. And you could see it. There's a softness in the face, a fatness in the face, a kind of acne where there shouldn't be. It's like, no, you should have like a man's face with like somewhat leathery skin, So he's got that boyish face. But, at the same time, he's like, the multi-billionaire, multi-millionaire, something like that. Yeah, so funny story. I was, I did the podcast, Zuck the Cuck, right? Because he came out with his globalist manifesto. What a bunch of bullshit that was, right? We're going to have to read that. It was a lesson in like how not to behave and how not to think. So, I did the podcast, right, where I'm talking shit. And now, usually when I do a video, I've got a procedure, right? And, I do the thumbnail, I do the description, I share it to, my various other social media, things like that, right? But I did that one, and it was a podcast, and I don't know, I just felt like I'd forgotten something, I just forgotten something. Didn't know what it was. Came back to the video the next day, was looking at it and think, well, what the hell did I forget to do here with this video? And I realized, oh, I forgot to share it. That's right. I forgot to share the video. And I forgot to share it over on Facebook. Okay, so, yeah. And then I look at the thumbnail, for the image. And it's horrible. Right? It's just a close-up of Zuckerberg's face. And it's offensive. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to share that on Facebook, you know? Because if I do, there's a possibility that he might see it and I might get kicked off Facebook. And, you know, I'm just starting to, you know, figure it out and things like that. Now, listen, I know a lot of you hate Facebook and have great disdain for Facebook and similar, you know, such things. But don't hate technology. Use technology. That's it. Embrace it. Use it. Make money off of it. Yeah, some of these images are obviously just some of the raw images that I was using to build my thumbnails. I build thumbnails in After Effects. And I just, you know, take an image, I crop it, and then boom, I slap some text on it. And I try to make it relevant, you know, to kind of what I'm talking about. And I try to use it in the, yeah, see, there you go. And then I try to use it in the video. Exactly. So I'm bummed that this thing didn't update anybody and let people know. It's because when I started it as private. I wonder if I'd have set it up, because I had a nice thumbnail for it and everything. I wonder if I set it up for like a half hour advance, because you can only go on the half hours, as far as I know. That's a nice thumbnail. And that's a nice picture, right? Yeah. Set it to public, and I wonder if it'll update everybody. Right? It's kind of for the best, though. Because I'm just unprepared here. I just wanted to, you know, put something together. Probably should prepare these, you know, a little better. But at the same time, I just wanted to give you guys also an opportunity to hang out. You know what I mean? It's not some big formal thing all the time. It's just, oh, okay. You know, I'm hanging out. No reason I can't talk for a little while with you guys about what's going on. You know, and what I'm noticing is the media. And the way that the media just like tries to create these stories, you know, it's like these bad stories. It's like, I mean, like, imagine if you're Trump, okay, or if the media's after you and you're just a good guy and you're going about it, you're doing your day and you're not bothering anybody and you're not hurting anybody. And everything you do, the media is reporting on it. And they're just reporting on it like he did it just like Hitler. Oh my God, he went to the drinking fountain and got himself a drink just the way Hitler would do it. You know, and it's like he's putting on his shoes, you know, he did it in an anti-Semitic way. So everything you do, you know, is just cast in this horrible, terrible, terrible light. And it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? It really is just like throwing a bunch of shit and seeing what sticks. And that's what they do, you know, and they have no shame about it. They're like bitches that gossip at a high school, you know what I mean? And just fucking tell lies about people until they find one that actually catches fire and that people just kind of like want to believe. Oh, there it is. Zuck the cuck, right? So I was like, no, I'm not going to share that on Facebook, right? Because I'd like to stay on Facebook. I'm still learning to use the technology. And there's crazy bitches, right? The Swedish bitches. This is what I'm talking about. These are the bitches that are on television now saying how great things are in Sweden. Feminists, social justice warriors, libtards on television talking about how great things are, you know, under their policies, with their worldview, and how everything that a man does is just like Hitler, even if it's as, you know, innocent as putting on his shoes and shit. That's how they play it. That's the narrative. That's what's going on. Got a little bit of an echo here on my own stuff. Yeah, sorry to subject you guys to my thumbnails like this, but it's really just me testing out, you know, various image control and stuff like that. See if I can just stop that or pause it. Pause it. Yeah, so my video my videos are getting kind of complex in their ideas, right? Yeah. Not the greatest for views, you know what I mean? I'm much better off, you know, just doing videos about sluts and whores and bitches, you know, who get into fights and shit like that. But, you know, I need to talk about how the individual man is interacting with the world, you know, because that's the focus of MGTOW, is just helping the individual man come to terms with the situation. It's not about changing the world, right? It's not about, teaching the women a lesson. It's not about any of those things. It's about helping the individual man. By the time the man comes to MGTOW, he's usually already been screwed over by the system. Or he's realized, that it's a rigged game and it's a rigged system, and that, they're just messing with him. And the younger man is seeing the effects of the men in the society and is thinking, I don't want to wind up like that. So that's the focus. You know what I mean? You can talk about all the social issues and things like that. And the politics. I think the politics are very important because, not because we're going to change it, we're going to do this. No, bullshit. No, but because that's where the attack is coming from, So you need to understand. It's like, I don't know why some of the MGTOW are like, actually, I've come to understand why they're saying, don't talk about the feminists, don't focus on the feminists. Because it's letting them set the agenda, it's focusing on, this other aspect of it, but I want to focus on it because that's where the attack is coming from. You know what I mean? You need to understand what's coming your way. And you need to understand what put you in the place that you're in right now. So this whole thing of MGTOW becomes this really deep subject. Son of a bitch. Sorry, people. Just getting an echo from my own stuff. The thing of MGTOW becomes this really deep introspection, because going your own way, first of all, you're turning away from the way of society, from the way of culture, from the gynocentric system that's, indoctrinated and conditioned you. You're turning away from that, but now you've got no way to go. Right now you're alone. It's like, well, what are you going to do? It's like, now you're going to get shamed by everybody on all sides for not going their way, for not going the way of tradition. You're not doing what traditionally is expected. So they're shaming. So now, in order to go his own way, he has to find his own way. In order to find his own way, guess what? Really difficult. He has to find himself. He has to find what he wants to do. He has to find what he cares about. He has to actually find the things that are of value in life, And when you're starting out, and it is a cycle, because when you are starting out, you have to go the way of the traditional way. You see the video of the little boy who got thrown out of his house because he voted for Trump in the school election, right? It's brutal, right? I was going to watch it. I was going to put it up on my channel, but it upset me too much, because when the mother is throwing the little boy out and abandoning the little boy, it's a death sentence. You know what I mean? And that's what would happen. If the parent abandons the child to the world, the child dies. And the child knows this. It's an instinctual thing. And the little brother is there too. And he's screaming and wailing and crying too, because he knows what it means on an instinctual level. That it means the death, that it's a death sentence. So that's what she's doing, and you see these bitches on these news clips that I'm putting up, right? And it's like, no, the truth is that there's a lot of women and people and children that are really suffering really bad right now because of these fucking policies, That's the truth of it, and we've got live video of it. And the bitch is like, no, things are not so bad. There's really not all that much violent crime in Sweden. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's almost like you want to see the bitch herself, being put through this treatment. And it's like, oh, do you recognize it now? It's like, oh, so that's what I'm talking about with, the idea for this podcast. But unfortunately, I screwed it up. But we're going to try it again. We are going to try it again. It's just probably not tonight. So let's see, what else can I subject you guys to while I've got you? Oh yeah, the rest of this video. Check it out, man. We're just going to pick it up where we left it off.
Of course, the one that got the most publicity was the Husby riots a few years ago, because those were huge. They started from the neighborhood of Husby, which is pretty similar to Rinkeby. It's also in Stockholm, It has a lot of migrants and immigrants in there. And the riots spread not just to other neighborhoods in Stockholm, but also to other cities. But this remained pretty contained, and the trouble started at something like 8 p.m. tonight on February 20th. And there were some cars burned in there, cops were stoned, and at least one cop got hit on the arm. There's talk of 3 police officers being hospitalized, but that's not for sure, so I'm not going to vouch for that. And as my friend showed you on the video, these foreigners, or people of foreign origin, most of them were born here, like they are 2nd or 3rd generation. They were smashing windows and breaking into stores. There was at least some tobacco store to which he saw them break in, and another was a little grocery store. And they smashed the windows. And
I just want to pause this for a second, because I want to make a really important point that I put more faith in what this woman, who put up this video has to say and her experience of it than I do for any of the news broadcasts. And I believe that, whatever she's expressing is sincere, and whatever they're expressing is, just the height of advertising production and stagecraft and narrative and manipulation and mind control. And that they who are presenting it are themselves, in fact, quite insane. So, and this form of communication that this woman, is expressing right here, and that I'm talking about right here in this podcast, is what humans do, right? This is what humans do. This is the actual value of the internet, is that it connects people to people so that we can now share our experience, and we don't have some mainstream media, some government, some religion, some educational institution, some military complex being the go-between, which is saying you have to kill that guy over there, or you have to hate that person over there, and this is what's going on over there, so now we're going to war over there. And you don't ever get to find out about it. So this connection, when they say fake news, okay, when the mainstream media says fake news and you shouldn't listen to it and you should only listen to us, what they're saying is that you shouldn't listen to the people in your life. You should only listen to them as an authority. And they're trying to shut this down. So it's real. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to say that one little thing, and let's continue on with this.
Robbed the store. So something like that happened. And there were no cops to be seen when this was going on. Only after the riot had calmed down and most of the assailants had already left with whatever loot they got from robbing these stores, the cops showed up. And there were only a few patrols here and there, and they didn't really do anything. They just sat in their cars and there was no effort to find the people who had rioted. There was no effort to stop any damage from being done. So basically these cops in Sweden are like, they are doing basically insurance checkings, that they wait for the riot to calm down. They don't want to mess with these people because they are scared of them. And they have a good reason to be scared of them. Something around a week ago, there was this event in Rinkeby also, in which 20 to 30 of these foreigners or people of foreign origin attacked a police patrol and beat up these 2 cops. So they have a good reason to be scared of them, because these people have no respect for the law enforcement. They aren't like us, they aren't polite, and they aren't scared of police or give them any authority. And they have this habit of attacking in mobs. So what the hell are 2 cops going to do when there are 30 people attacking them? So these areas are basically like the Wild West. If you go there and you get into trouble, you are all alone. The people around you aren't going to help you if you get victimized. And there is little chance of cops coming in there, because cops don't like to come into these neighborhoods because their cars get destroyed and they get attacked. And there are 55 of these so-called no-go zones in Sweden. That's according to police information. A police report stated that there are 55 of these areas in which the crime starts affecting people's everyday life in a very severe way, and police and first aid and emergency workers have a difficult time working in these neighborhoods. So cops either don't go there at all, or they go with big force, like they use several patrols. Firemen also get stoned in here, and they get set up like these people can put a bomb in a trash can, then set it on fire, then they call the fire department, and when the fire department comes, they start putting out the fire, and the bomb explodes. So that's the sort of stuff these people do for fun. Like, they are completely insane. They aren't like us. And it's completely unnecessary, and it's useless to wonder why these people do these kinds of things. Nobody knows. They just like to do this kind of stuff to show who's the boss. And then they set these traps for cops too. Like, they can claim that, call 911 and claim that, okay, there was a robbery, come over here. Then when the cops come, these guys are there in a huge crowd. They have already gathered stones and bottles and stuff they can throw at the cops. And then they start throwing the rocks at the cops, and the cops have no chance but to escape. There was also one person who died because of this fucking stone throwing. Like, these emergency workers went to help a person who had gotten some sort of a seizure, and they went to an apartment, but they were unable to get out of the building because the other inhabitants of that building were throwing stones and other stuff at these ambulance workers. And while they were treating this patient, who of course then died because they weren't able to get him to hospital, these inhabitants of the neighborhoods also destroyed their ambulance. So it's pretty unreal what's going on in there. But anyway, this is Rinkeby tonight. So what weren't able to get him to hospital. The humanitarian superpower to admit that they got it wrong. And it's not in any way unusual. Like, there aren't any big headlines about this kind of stuff because they went to an apartment, but they were unable to get out of the building because the other inhabitants of that building were throwing stones and other stuff at these ambulance workers. And while they were treating this patient, who of course then died because they weren't able to get him to hospital, these inhabitants of the neighborhoods also destroyed their ambulance. So it's pretty unreal what's going on in there. But anyway, this is Rinkeby tonight. So what Trump said about what happened in Sweden, or what's happening in Sweden last night, this is it. Like, this is how it is. And it's not in any way unusual. Like, there aren't any big headlines about this kind of stuff because it's so common in Sweden. And when these Swedish politicians present that they don't know what Trump is talking about, they are like, oh, what's going on? There's nothing going on in here. I don't understand what he's talking about. They are basically morons. Of course they know what's going on. They just want to deny it because they are too proud about their humanitarian superpower to admit that they got it wrong. They want to believe that they are so morally superior to everyone else that their multiculturalism cannot fail, and that their feminism cannot fail. But it has failed, and denying it won't change anything. So this is Rinkeby in February 20th. Thank you for listening, and bye.